The wine industry is one of the Western Cape's largest job creators in the agriculture sector, not just from the vineyard to bottle or bulk storage, but through a value chain that affects thousands of people. The industry body that connects producers, wineries, and distributors with exports, South African Wine, says the country is the 8th largest wine producer globally. With the harvest to start shortly and run until April, the outlook is for a good quality crop. 60% will be sold domestically, while 40% will be exported to 120 countries. Economic growth, however, is a challenge, as the industry is on a path of innovation to increase value rather than volume. But the greatest difficulty has been the tariff issue. Establishing any new market is extremely difficult, especially in wine-producing countries like America. Talks have been going on in 2025, and the hope is for clarity on the tariff question within a year.
There's no certainty yet or timelines when this will come to fruition, and it does mean that exporters need to make decisions at the background of this. Many exporters did ship significant stock prior to the tariff implementation, and that has led to a stock pile-up in the United States, which is still evident. For South Africa, we have seen a decline in our bulk wine exports. It is the segment that is most certainly impacted the most, as the 30% tariff is weighed up against 10% and even 0% of our competitors.
Basson makes clear that the South African wine producers are resilient and innovative and will meet challenges head-on. Diversifying markets is key, with a strong focus on Africa and the Far East. Minister of Agriculture, John Steenhuisen, agrees, saying retaining traditional markets is important, but sourcing and establishing new markets will become increasingly necessary in the future for all agri-exports. An agri-economist says South Africa is among only a handful, if not the only country, where agri-industries are not subsidised by the state. It's therefore vital that new relationships are fostered.
It's not about transactions, it's about establishing and building long-term relationship, because it is not easy to switch from one area to another in terms of markets. It is important that we also deepen Africa trade. As envisaged in the Africa Free Continental Agreement, we need a diversified, modernized, more resilient, globally connected world.
Despite the uncertainty, bilateral talks with a number of countries, including America, continues.
We're less interested in aid, but we're very interested in trade. And leveling the playing fields is not just about charity. It's about ensuring that our farmers compete on fair terms, that markets remain open and don't get shut for false or inaccurate or selfish purposes, and that agriculture continues to serve as a driver of food security, rural livelihoods, and a developing country.
Foot-and-mouth disease hit the country hard, with Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal among the first to receive vaccine doses procured from Botswana. Steenhuisen says stakeholders are discussing ways to ensure that the country becomes free of the disease. Producing vaccines locally would be ideal. However, biosecurity levels must be of the highest international standards. This includes adhering to regulations that prohibits the sale and transport of infected animals, something that is still a problem.
Biosecurity is something that has to be everybody's responsibility, from the farm gate to the auction house to the abattoir to the final consumer. And we all have a role to play in ensuring that South Africa becomes synonymous with the highest level of biosecurity and that we adhere to the regulations. I've just gazetted new interim regulations for the movement and sale of animals, and we're going to be obviously strictly enforcing these, and those who break the law must feel the consequences, because there are grave economic consequences if the law is broken in these regards.
Strong partnerships with the Department of Agriculture, the fruit industry and international partners led to the resumption of exports of apples and pears to Thailand after 16 years. This also paved the way for access to the Philippines for table grapes and citrus exports to Vietnam. In October, a major protocol was signed with China that opened up its market for 5 categories of South African stone fruit under a single cooperative agreement. Steenhuisen says Africa, and particularly South Africa, have massive potential to become the breadbasket of the world.
South Africa's farmers and farm workers are amongst the best in the world. And having travelled all over the world as we start to open up these markets, there is a huge demand for the high quality agricultural goods, particularly our fruits and citrus and wines around the rest of the world. These are huge opportunities for us to really showcase South Africa to the global community.
Employment in the agriculture sector increased by 2% last year, bringing total agricultural employment to 920,000. Steenhuisen says in 2026, the department will build on this momentum, strengthen partnerships, expand market access, deepen farmer support, intensify biosecurity reforms, and advocate for the sector across government. Mariska Botha, SABC News, Cape Town.